Hey everybody, it's Gypsy, and welcome to On the Edge of Appalachia. This video is not about gardening. I'm having uh, one of my days where I'm having a lot of deep thoughts, which does happen a lot for me. I think maybe way too much. I don't know. And I just wanted to discuss it. Plus, I'm just like not feeling very energetic to really. I mean, I am going to garden, of course. I can't go a day without gardening. So I just thought I'd sit down and talk about what I am thinking about. Now, before I do that, I would like to preface that a cat down here. Um, I do not permit evangelizing on my channel because I believe that if your spiritual path, whether it's, well, any religion or just general unlabeled spirituality, and that is the path that's right for you, then you need to go with that. And I do not believe in pushing these things on other people because our spiritual path is very personal. Okay. So please don't do that. Also, for the first, well, for 45 years of my life, I was a Christian. And I did, my cat's shaking the camera. I did the whole song and dance, went through all the stuff, read the Bible front to back 3 times. I had more Bible verses memorized than you can imagine. Every morning I would memorize 3 before going to work. So I did all that stuff, but it got to a point where that was no longer where I was supposed to be on my spiritual journey. So I am no longer a Christian. For those of you who are, and it's working for you, that's great. Do not send me evangelism comments. Do not indicate in any way that you feel sorry for me because believe me, when I was a Christian, I was not happy. I am happier now. This is a much more fulfilling path for me, and it's for me. I'm not talking down any of the other paths. I am not. Okay, now first of all, I don't have a name for my path specifically. But ever since I was a baby, I've had different and strange experiences. Um, so my perspective was always different than other people's. That's going to happen. Your perspectives are based on your life experiences. Anyways, and sorry, I'm really tired today. I think it's the weather. We're going to get thunderstorms later. Anyways, been thinking this morning about all the stuff that is going on in the world today. All the weird stuff, things coming to the light, promises that have been kept, promises that have been broken, etc. The whole thing. And I've also been thinking of it like on a spiritual level, not just physical, but also what's going on beyond planet Earth, in other dimensions, on other planets, but more importantly, like higher dimensional, like in the afterlife, the creator, stuff like that. I've been thinking about it that way. And I guess what I'm talking about more today is, it doesn't have anything to do with any other spiritual path or religion, except I'm trying to think how to word this, except for those who claim to be awake and going through the ascension and stuff like that. Now, I only say claim because I am not these other people. I'm only me, and I only know about me. Okay. And I do get suspicious a lot of times. But with all of this thing about ascension symptoms the ascension. I've become very, I don't know, disappointed because now just general spirituality, people who are awakening, people who are ascending, well, it's turned into a religion. Now, the reason I say that is because all of a sudden there's all these rules. Um, all my life, since I was a very, very small child, my goal has been to find freedom. Um, yeah, and that includes spiritual freedom too. Okay. So here's what I see happening. Just like one of the major religions of the world, the planet, and I'm not going to pick one in particular, um, people kind of get on a bandwagon. Like someone will say this, that, or the other thing needs to be done to get to the goal of, all right, ascension. You need to be doing this. You need to be doing that. No. I guess for me, ascension is more about knowing who you truly are, not in this physical body, but you yourself, who you truly are. Okay. And I have problems with people who have very set, rigid, like goals for themselves, things I may not agree with or I don't think are real, whatever. And everybody has, if you're a spiritualist or you're this, if you're awake, if you're ascending, you have to do. No, 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 no. That's religion. Okay, I'm sorry, that's religion. And I've been saying for years, spirituality is, or spiritualism. Not sure how to word that because to me, there's a difference between religion and spirituality. You could be religious without being spiritual. You can also be religious and be very spiritual. Okay. Then you could also just be spiritual like I am without a specific religion. So those to me, and this is my opinion, take it or leave it. It's what freedom is about. So it's all this stuff that is going on is the stuff people who have the awareness things were going to change. Not that anybody knew specifically what it was going to change, how it was going to change, etc. But you knew, okay, it was coming. Okay, so it's here. It's happening now. It's chaotic. It's crazy, whatever. It's those people have started coming up with things, well, that I think are bizarre. Not that I don't think they're true. I think they're true for some people. Okay, so they're experiencing these things, and some of these things I am. I am not experiencing everything they are. Some, yes. Um, okay, so let's take, and I'm not an expert here. I don't, I didn't go to any special school or anything like that. I'm just going by, almost 61 years worth of bizarre experiences, okay? So, after my son died is when my awakening started to speed up. I started to see more of what had been bothering me about this place, this planet, since I was a little girl, since I was a child, and why and what. And then, so I started watching different spiritual teachers. And when I came across one or two that I felt were, I want to say, on the up and up, I stuck with them and I watched them, I learned from them, etc. So I started to hear about, well, spiritual ascension, I can understand. It makes sense to me. But then they started talking about like physical ascension, the ascension of the body, etc. Some people believe this is a thing. And maybe it is. I don't know. So I'm telling you, I don't know. I don't know a lot of this stuff. I just don't. I'm more of a person, okay, well, this could be a possibility, or it couldn't. I have to wait and see. I always need to have like evidence. I need to experience it myself. I need something more concrete for me to know whether or not it's true. I will never say something is not, definitely not true, unless I have an experience myself that tells me it's not, okay? To me, anything is possible. But they talk about the ascension of the body. Okay. And I had somebody recently tell me that we will become, now we, to me, in my opinion, we are eternal beings. Death is an illusion. The only thing that dies is the physical body. You don't die. You continue on. Okay. This person said, no. It's getting to the point. It's going to be where you will physically be eternal. And I'm like, well, I don't want that for myself. I prefer to be formless. And I do have experiences and spiritual memories of being formless. So I have the two to compare to. I'd rather be formless. Right now I'm in form because there's a specific reason I'm in form, and I don't always understand it, but it is what it is, and I have to deal with it now. So I just prefer that. And I said, well, I prefer formlessness. And she goes, oh no, you have to be physically eternal. And I'm like, no, you don't. I said, I could understand when and if we get to the point you can have a choice. You can be physically eternal, or you could just, eternally be formless. In other words, in spirit. That's what I believe. It's a choice. Because when we are in spirit and we don't have a physical body, we have a lot more choices than we do now. Being incarnated is limiting. It is very limiting. Not as limiting as we've been led to believe, but there are limitations as compared to being formless. And so these people who are really into physical immortality, I have trouble relating to them. Now, I'm sure they've had experiences and stuff that I have not. That is the reason they believe this or say this or whatever, or they want this. I believe someday it will be true, I think. I've never had an experience to tell me one way or another, but like I said, anything's possible. Do I want that? No, not for me personally. Somebody else who wants it, I wish you the best, and I hope you get what you want. But to tell each other, no, you have to, well, honey, that's religion. It's religion. And I don't feel that general spirituality should be a religion. And so I get angry, and I do, and it shows when somebody says something like that to me. No, I don't have to, and I don't want to. I am currently physical right now for a reason, and whenever that reason is up, and I have no idea when, then I'll be in formless again. But I'll still exist. So it's like stuff like that. So then you hear things. All right, now I'm going to give an example of something that everybody says has to do with the ascension of the planet and humanity and the awakening and stuff that I am experiencing. And that is time. Time is very strange to me. I would say, I would say in my later years it has been, but now I'd say, I don't know, the last several months, it's been really bad. It's just, I don't want to say bad, it's been more noticeable. Most of the time is going by so quickly. It's like, wow, I don't even know how to describe this, but time is just, it's almost not a thing. It's almost not a thing. Now, in higher dimensions like the spirit realm, where our creator exists, it isn't a thing. And I can understand why here in the physical realm we needed to create time. Okay, that makes sense to me. But now it's like it doesn't exist for me. It goes by so fast. But then all of a sudden I'll go through a moment where all of a sudden it seems to stop. And it'll go really slow. But the times that go by really slow are less than the times that are really quick. Okay? So I do experience that. Now, here's another thing. You will hear people, oh, I went through the awakening and stuff, and all of a sudden I have no craving for this food, this drink, that drink, whatever. I never once experienced that. Well, just once. There is one thing I do have that issue with. But, it's like people are going around bragging. I noticed this about 10 years ago. Oh, when I awakened, I no longer wanted, some people say red meat. Okay, now to me that's bullshit. I tried being a vegetarian. I got more sick. And maybe it's based, oops, sorry about that, on an individual basis because everybody's body is different. So I'm not judging that. I'm just saying I don't think it's a personal thing based on your physical makeup. So it's like, people, oh, I can't eat that. I can only eat vegetables, or I can only eat pure food. I can only eat this. I can only eat that, etc. Now, for me, the only thing that happened is artificial sweeteners. I used to drink Diet Pop constantly. Now I will only drink it if I'm in a situation where like that's the only thing available. It was in my refrigerator all the time. It was a staple. And it always tasted good to me. And then one day I cracked open a can of Diet Coke. And I was like, what's wrong with this? It tasted funny to me. And ever since then it has. I cannot stand the taste. That's the only thing that's ever happened with it. Now on occasion I will eat something or drink something like, why does it taste funny right now? I do get that. But I don't get I have not given up really anything. I mean, it's like, all right, I was born in the early 60s. Okay, so my generation, we picked up some bad habits. Now, because I am such a freedom lover, seeker, whatever, when all the stuff, oh, this is bad for you, can't do this, and all of a sudden we had I used to call them goody two-shoers. People call them today Karens and stuff like that. Well, they make me rebel more. So, the habits I have picked up through my life, I have not given up because they are things I enjoy. Okay? I'm not going to give something up because this group over here says I need that to be spiritual. No, I don't. Okay? This is the physical realm. Okay? It's just like, I'll give that up when I don't have a body anymore. And maybe I won't. Maybe I could manifest pretending that I'm doing that with all its sensations, I'm going to say. But it has that has become like every spiritual group I belong on the internet, the signs of ascension. It's like, well, you have to not eat this, you have to not drink that, you have to not do this. Now, you can't smoke, but please do go ahead and, smoke marijuana and do this drug and that drug to have a spiritual experience. Now, that never made sense to me. Because once you learn how to meditate, I don't see a reason to need a drug. If you know how to do it really good, you have these experiences. So I don't get that. And no, I'm not into drugs. That's not what I was talking about when I said I was born in the 60s. I'm not saying I didn't experiment when I was young, but I don't do drugs now. It was a brief period of my time. So these things don't make sense to me. And to say you have to give up this and you have to be experiencing that, etc., I think goes against what spirituality and ascension really is. And these are just my opinions. You know, like me sitting here seeing spirits walk through the woods. Okay, there's my thing. It's I did just see somebody walking in the distance, and then they just disappear into thin air. Um, it's my thing. It's not everybody's thing. Do I think everybody who's ascending needs to experience what I experience? No. And I kind of hope you don't, because it's like I just have a lot of times where I just want to be a normal person. You know, like, I guess like what some might consider asleep. I don't know. And what does that really mean anyways? Awake, woke, asleep, sheeple, I hate that word. What does that really mean anyways? It's all a matter of perception. It really is. Because I've been in so many spiritual groups who are saying they're awake and ascending, yet this group could believe one thing, and then the other group can believe the total opposite. So it's like, you just have to listen to your own intuition, your own inner voice, your higher self. It's all the same thing. You have to go with it on that. So I've gotten to the point, okay, like, all right, the things that are going on in this world. It's like, all right, I give up. Okay, I went for over 20 years without voting because in 2000 was another step in my awakening where I realized voting is BS. They already have the person picked before you even get to the polls. And I knew that then. And I used to be like, I thought voting was so important that I would take my boys with me to vote. Okay? And my younger son, he was just like, he was a toddler, so he wouldn't remember that. But I used to take them both with me because I thought it was so important. Well, in 2000, I realized it wasn't. So I just stopped voting. Well, everything's been so chaotic, and here's the thing. Even people who are not Christian, they have morals. And a lot of us, our morals tend to be more conservative. I'm not going to say I'm totally conservative because I'm not. I am a person who believes you live the life you want, be true to yourself as long as you're not hurting someone else, okay? You cannot push what you want for yourself, etc., on other people, okay? So I do tend to be more conservative. There are issues I'm more liberal on, okay? Not that I like those labels, I hate them, but I just don't know how else to explain it. I've given up. So I voted last time because I thought things had gone too far. I saw too much immorality. Now, here's the thing. I would talk to, like, my two friends who are, I hate using these terms, more liberal than I am, or family members, about what I was saying. And they'd be like, that's not, we don't see that. So when I started switching, like, I watch this news over here and this news on the total opposite side, and I listen to independent, on the independent people on the internet. Well, you're getting totally different stories depending on who you watch. So, like, I watch the news on the right, and then a big story over here, a big news story, and it's not being reported on the left, and vice versa. So let's think about this. How's that happening, and why? Well, because they're lying to both sides, and they're making us forget that it's us against them, not us against us. Anyways, I've gotten to the point where I don't care anymore. I don't care about the crap that's going on anymore. I know what I believe and how I feel about things, and I don't care. Okay, yes, certain things get me upset if I feel people are getting hurt, especially innocent people, like, children and stuff. But I've given up. I'm done. And when it comes to spirituality, I feel the same way. I cannot give up my spirituality because, well, I am a spirit in a body right now, aka a human being, a person, etc. Um, so I can't give that up. I would like to give up some of my experiences I have spiritually sometime, but you know, who you are just doesn't go away. Um, so it's like not, I love myself, but I'm talking about, I guess, my purpose here and the things I experience. But it's gotten to the point I don't care what the spiritual community says. I don't care what the religious community says. I don't care what the political community says. I don't care about any of it anymore. I'm going to discuss it with me, myself, and I. In other words, me, my intuition, and my higher self, all the same thing. I'm very good at honing into my intuition. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Like, all right, I hear this, that other thing. I'm very, very suspicious and doubtful of all sides, of everyone. Okay, it's like things are so crazy. And, like I said, in 2000 was when I realized voting is not a real thing. It's just an act that we play out that really, you know. But I did vote last year because I felt things had gotten so bad. But now I'm back to the point where it's like, you know what? I was right the first time around. Um, so I'm not going to worry about it anymore. I'm not going to worry about, am I doing the right thing for my ascension physically or spiritually? I'm not. I'm not going to worry what other people are doing. It has gotten to the point where spiritually it's a contest. Ooh, I have this ascension symptom, and I have that ascension symptom. The word symptom is a turn off in the first place. It's like, no, I don't want that. But for me, it's, I do have the physical stuff too. But it's like, I don't know. I guess this old crone is just tired. I'm very tired. And I'm like, you know what? For whatever reason, I'm here. I'm here. I've got my garden. I've got my family. I've got my art, cooking, the things I love to do. I have all that stuff. And that is what I am focusing on. And I have a feeling I know what my purpose is here. And it's happening now, and I'm not going to compare myself to other spiritual people, other religious people. I'm not going to compare myself to other I don't want to say political people, because then I think of people in the government, and who cares? Don't compare yourself to them. You don't want to be like them. You don't want to be like them. Don't do that. I'm not going to compare myself to other people's political opinions and stuff like that. Uh, Not that I ever did. I mean, I have my own opinion. You take it or leave it. You don't like it, too bad. Have your own. That's okay. You're allowed to do that. And it's like that for me with everything. But I mean, it's just so overwhelming lately. All the stuff that's going on. I'm done. I've had enough in all departments. Political, everything that's going on in the world. Spiritual, no. It's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna drop. Here's my thing, and I know my son hates that I have this attitude, but it's like, I'm, I'm not saying I know when I'm gonna die, but let's face it, I'm in my 60s. Okay, so I'm in that last section of life. Okay, and it's like, what's the point now? I want to have fun. I am. It is my goal at the end in my I don't want to say end, because I mean, I could live another 25, 30 years, so that it's not really the end. Um, with it like the golden years, if you want to call it that, which I think is a mistake. Um, I'm gonna do what I want. I don't care what anybody says anymore. I don't care if people perceive me as spiritual or not. I don't care if people like my opinions or not. This is my life and nobody else's. And I'm going to continue doing the things I like, whether other people like it or not. Okay, so if I enjoy something, don't ever tell me I have to give it up for this, that, or the other thing. No, whether it be a religious or a spiritual purpose, not going to happen. Not going to happen. last church I belonged to, Christian church, I used to hide who I was because everybody there seemed to be so perfect that I had to pretend I was something I wasn't, and that was not for me. No, I am. I guess here's the thing. I'm in my older years. I realize I am not perfect, and I don't know everything. Once you think you know everything and you're always right, um, you don't. That is the point when you are ignorant, when you're stupid, you know nothing. If you think you know everything, let's say, I guess if you're afraid to be wrong and you put your foot down and refuse to say, no, I was wrong on that. If you think you know better than other people, that is when you are ignorant. And I don't know everything. I'm just stating how I'm feeling right now, what my opinion is. And a lot of stuff I said today, I could be wrong on. And that's okay. And you know, I'm sure a lot of you will put your opinions in the comments because when I talk about spirituality, the religious people like to come in and tell me how wrong I am. And it's okay. Okay? I won't agree with you, and there's no way you're going to change my mind. I've been through too much in my life, way too much, for someone else to come in and say, you're wrong, and, you know, no. I go by my experiences, both physical and spiritual. So, yeah, it's like, now I'm just going to have fun. You can tell me it's unhealthy all you want. You can tell me it's the wrong thing spiritually. You can tell me it's going to keep me from ascending. You can tell me it's going to make me go to hell. Well, yeah, hell's, I don't believe in hell. Sorry. Oh, here they come. All the Christians. What? Cracks me up. I'm sorry, guys. But I get so many. Yeah, don't send me comments that you feel bad for me or you're worried about me because I'm not a Christian. I am so much happier and freer not being a Christian. Guess what? I still have morals. In fact, I have more morals and love than I've seen most Christians have. I'm sorry to say. Um, it's why, well, one of the reasons I left is because I and the two people I love the most, maybe I'll say three people, were hurt by them. And, you know, what everybody else wanted to do was their decision, not for me to make. But for me, I had enough. And it's not what spirituality is to me. So you have to look within and come up with your own opinions. You know, yes, listen to what other people have to say, but that does not mean you have to take it as your own truth, okay? I'm sorry. I have been through this awakening process, I think, my whole life. Okay? And there comes a point where you know, it's like, yeah, okay, you're having that experience. I'm not, and that's okay. It doesn't mean I'm not ascending. It doesn't mean you're not ascending. You're not awakening. Whatever. Okay, we need to let this go a little bit. We need to relax. We need to stop worrying. One, whether we're right or wrong. Go with your intuition. If you find out you're wrong about something, then yes, don't be so proud that you won't change your mind on something. But be more free, be more relaxed, go easier on yourself with all this stuff. Even like this current events of the world, we can't know. We can't know if we're right or wrong because they're lying to everyone. It's all one big lie. It's all a lie. Both sides. You know, in the United States, as you've got conservative and liberal, both sides are being lied to. Okay, you are. I'm sorry, both sides. We gotta relax. We gotta be easier on ourselves, first of all, and easier on each other. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to ascend, awaken, or not ascend or awaken. It's okay. It doesn't matter. It does not make or break you. Okay? Now here's another thing I just thought of. Okay, a couple years ago, people who are considered liberal, this is what I heard, were being told to not go to their conservative family's house for Thanksgiving. And I heard that in a couple news programs. Now, my liberal friends had never heard that. They're like, really? I remember one friend in particular, but it happened in my family. I host Thanksgiving, or I used to, and that happened. They did not come. So I'm thinking you may not have heard about it, but it must be true that it's out there. So just because you don't hear about something doesn't mean it's not happening, okay? And it's a brainwashing thing. It is. To say don't do the, and right, you should be able to do what you want to do. But this is also happening in the spiritual community, where people think that because they are ascending and awakening, that they must lose people in their lives. It goes like people who are no longer a vibrational match to you, they will be leaving your lives. Well, I have seen in a lot of groups where people are forcing this to happen. I don't think that's a thing. And I don't think it needs to be. Like I told one young person in a spiritual group that I belong to, and he sounded like he pushed these people out of his life. Not that it happened naturally. The girl's over here. Isn't she beautiful? This is Rhiannon. I have 3 cats. This is Rhiannon. I have Draco, and I have Persephone. Anyways, so it did sound. And I said, well, no. I don't think it's a have to thing. I think what people in the spiritual community are trying to say is this could happen, and don't be surprised if it does. Okay, for me, it happened naturally. I didn't push anybody out. I feel like it's more the other way around. I was pushed out of some friends' lives, family, etc. But there's other people in my life who are still in my life, who even even spiritually, we are on different, I don't want to say levels because that would make one sound better than the other, and it's not. Different places on that, the way we view the world, whether we're awake or not, etc. So don't let hearing stuff like, oh, it has to be, so I'm going to make it happen. Yeah, just heard my dad say self-fulfilling prophecy. Don't do that. Just, just be yourself, do your thing. My cat is caught on my shirt. I think it's time to uh, clip some nails here. Come here, mister. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, all of this. You hear people say these things and they sound like rules and a must. No, they're not. Just do your thing. Be yourself. Be true to yourself. And whatever happens, happens. I really believe that the spiritual community took a warning that yes, when you begin to see things differently, especially from a spiritual perspective as to what's going on here, you may lose people in your life. I don't think it was a have to. Too many are taking this as a have to, and it's a sign of spiritual awakening. No, you don't have to. You don't. And yes, it is harder to talk to people who all of a sudden you see things differently. It is harder, but that does not mean you have to be done with them. If it happens, in my case, it's going to happen naturally, not forced. So, I guess I've talked enough about this topic. I'm going to leave you with that. Blessed be, and make it a joyful one.